Welcome back. You know, it is so funny. I just recorded this whole video, but I didn't push the record button. So we're doing it again. Luckily, it was a really quick one. This video should be like under 10 minutes, I say. Welcome back to the Lambda log, week 1, day 4, the 23rd of July, 2026. We're back at it with Much Ado About Nothing rehearsal. We started with our podcast, Shakespeare's Restless World, and the question that they were asking is, what were they eating? So the object was this little Italian fork I drew right here. It looked kind of like that. It was sharp and stylish little fork. It was elegant, made of iron, and would have had a wooden handle. Eating was a huge part of all entertainment. The theater had eating and bear baiting and brothels and taverns, right? You go to a brothel and you still eat some food. Big part of Elizabethan culture. Shakespeare's theaters were very lucrative new business, and so they would sell food there as well. Lots of fruits were eaten, bread and shellfish. They drank beer and had fizzy ale. We have proof of this because there were written complaints about people like opening their fizzy ale and it distracting the performance and going psst, like a soda, which is funny. We have the same problems today. The rich would bring their own nicer food for which the fork would have been used. And it was known as a socket fork or a cocktail fork. And it was a foreign delicacy because the English were more robust and practical and they used their hands to eat most of the time. And this is also why, like, they were much more interactive with the audience and why you get the idea of throwing tomatoes at the stage because they totally would have, except it would have probably been apples and maybe oysters. Actors ate full feasts on stage, and that was common and entertaining for them because they're like, oh, look at all that food, and that's so cool to watch. And potatoes were an exotic and exciting thing to see on stage. Kissing comfort was I think it was like a beverage of sorts, or it was something that would sweeten the breath after you had eaten other things. The audience of a Shakespeare show was very socially varied. So there was upper class and lower class, and the upper class would have brought their own fancy foods, and lower class would have bought like concessions, and it would have been like those oysters and stuff, and it was great. And so the whole experience at these theaters was really visceral. There was sound and sights and smells. Victorians really cleaned up Shakespeare, but it's very robust, embodied, dirty, and truthful, right? We need to commit to the environment that the play was written in. Now at this point in the rehearsal, he decided that we were going to unit the script. So instead of getting up on our feet, which was what we were originally planning to do to begin blocking it, we are uniting it out. So the way that Lawrence units his scripts is different than other people. It's like this little page of dialogue. On a unit, he puts these little backwards L's. And then bing, bing, bing. And then that one's a beat. So it's like a little backwards L with a dot. And then bing. So they're written per subject matter. So it's not just like generally we're talking about this woman, but it's like we're talking about this aspect of this woman. And then we switch to talking to the woman or something like that. So other things would have been more other units that I've done, like when I did it with Ollie, it was like chunks of page. This is like there can be several beats in a single line, like a short line. Shout out Sandridge. We're cooking. So we need to remember the stakes, and it's important because he still wanted us to embody and perform the script and the performance as we were reading it. He said, if you need to stand up, stand up. If you need to do something more, do it. Luckily, I was finally feeling like pretty fresh and well rested. I didn't have to stand up at all to stay awake. A change of topic is a change of unit. Put drive behind the words, set up target, and take the shot. Every new sentence has a new impulse. Don't play the style, don't play the wit, play the relationship and the intention. Every stage direction with a change of space is a new unit. Every physical action is a unit change. Remember the insults and note their responses. There's insults, and sometimes the response or payoff of that insult isn't for a little till after. The wit is a way to actually deliver what you're thinking, right? Not look how witty I am. It's precise, it's cutting, it's tactical, it's purposeful. So the verb to the punctuation is like the tactic to the punctuation. Change the pitch with a new tactic and a new punctuation. If Lawrence says, I'm not hearing it, it means you're not endowing it with meaning. So bathe it with meaning. The truth needs to be endowed with the relationship. This is a comedy, but the language delivers the humor. We must deliver the truth of the characters, right? We're not just trying to be funny or trying to be witty. We're trying to get something from the other characters. We had a little tea break, and then we continued uniting. Prose is so complex, and you need to drive the thought to the end. There can be multiple like ideas and tactics within a single thought, and you just need to keep driving it. You don't have to stress only based on iambic pentameter. You can stress lines that aren't on the emphasized part of the iamb. The ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. You know, when you find a line when you find a difficult line in iambic due to the scansion, check where the stresses should lie. That might help you out. And then scansion is only there to like understanding the rhythm is only there to help you find a connection with the intention. You have to play and then separately, you have to play the faked emotion, not play faking the emotion. So if you're like lying to some character or like playing something, you don't play the fact that you're lying because then the character's stupid. You play it authentically and truthfully. And then Ian Banner is our choreographer, movement director, and intimacy coordinator, and we met him right before lunch. Then we had lunch. And then we continued uniting the script past the interval. So we got halfway through at the beginning, and we continued. We did good work. And then we had a tea break a little, like an hour later, but, I didn't write anything during that hour. Then we continued uniting. Something to remember, commas are not pauses. Don't honor the commas like that. You'll lose the meaning. You have to drive to the end of the thought, right? Or it'll get lost. We need to be completely off book before the last week starts, and do what you need to be ready for that, whatever that means, right? Read the play again. Don't play attributes or characteristics or caricatures. I mean, and then we'll start tomorrow from the top. Do some blocking. And then Lawrence doesn't block. He helps us follow the impulses, finds the physical needs to find the physical needs. So he does like say, enter here, exit there. But it's not like a true blocking. And we'll all be called while we learn how he works. Lawrence is direct and robust. He doesn't play games. If he asks a question, it's because he asks one. It's not because he has an answer. And he pushes his actors. Remember that comedy is dark. Comedy is tragic. Bring a lot of motivational drive and weight, the impulse, right? It's not to show it, but to use it. And then we had our final theses, and they're the ones with one of the guys who got a concussion and wasn't able to perform at the end of last term, and then the other person wasn't able to. And so the first one was the one of the guy concussed, and it was this idea. It was like he sat down, and he still is a little limited physically, so he just sat on a block, and he spoke, and it was all about this idea of being and like it started with I am, and then I am not, and just like what life is in creation and what to be. And it was cool. It was just like an explosion of life and all the different options and what to do with it. And then the next one was out there, and it was this clown with this line, this laundry line, and she was like putting things on it, and it was an exploration of of loneliness and sorrow and the empowerment and embody and power of words and the written text. And so she was quiet at first and obviously distraught, and then this tumbleweed came on stage, and then she kicked it off, then came back on, then she kicked it off, then came back on, then she kicked it off one last time, and then it left. um and then she was putting up this laundry, and there's some man's clothes and some other things that looked like it had um purpose and connection to her. And then she screamed into one of the things. And then there's a moment where she was like trying to take her life because she was super depressed. And then she starts to drown herself in a bucket, but in a funny way, you know, as much as we can laugh at that. And then she looks in the bucket and there's a book, and she wrings it out and she reads from it. And then she finds another book and then finds purpose in it. And it was beautiful. And it was so great and all encompassing. And it was delightful. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Big fan. Lots of love. Yeah. So that was Thursday, day 4. I'm gonna give you day 5 in just a second, but enjoy. Love I.